This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. As always, I am Ben.
And I am Alex. Hey, Ben.
Hey there, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. We're going to record a couple shows today, and then I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Got a lot of great Premier League soccer games, headlined by Leicester City versus Arsenal. And then on Sunday, we have SummerSlam, which I will be watching.
Yeah, WWE fan still?
Love WWE still.
All right, good to know.
It's good. It's still good. It's not quite what it was back in its prime. I'd say late 90s, early 2000s, but still very entertaining. They're still doing a great job.
I have not watched it since about 8th grade, 9th grade, roughly, but I was quite into it. I went to a taping of Monday Night Raw here at Arco Arena, the now former home of the Sacramento Kings. Was at that time still called Arco Arena. Then it was Power Balance Pavilion, and then it ended its run as the Sleep Train Arena. But at that time, it was still Arco. And
now we have a Golden One Center.
We do, opening up October. I'm so excited. But yeah, they had. I went to a taping of Monday Night Raw there with my brother-in-law, who was really into wrestling for a long time. Yeah, and he took me, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a fun time.
It's definitely a different experience live. I'd say you can kind of get more into it.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing to get into. It's not as enjoyable, I guess, but it's still good if you think of it that way. I suppose.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
like,
so.
It's not like less enjoyable because it's not as good, but you're watching it in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just different in that sense, I suppose.
I guess you're right.
But it was enjoyable. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I went to a taping of SmackDown last year, so
I liked SmackDown more than I liked Raw.
Okay, I was the other way around. I like Raw.
I think eventually Raw took over, and I liked Raw more because I think they would do those lotteries, you know, and they would flip flop shows, and then I'd be like, oh well, kind of follow my guy over here. I was a big Batista fan. I really liked Batista. I liked Goldberg. I liked the Hardy Brothers. I liked Rey Mysterio. I have a Rey Mysterio mask somewhere in my house that I got in Mexico.
Interesting.
I liked. Oh, I forget his name now. He would do the frog splash.
Eddie Guerrero?
No, I liked Eddie Guerrero, but no.
Rob Van Dam?
Rob Van Dam. I liked Rob Van Dam, yeah. He was a fun guy to watch. And then, who was the guy that would do the gore?
Rhino.
Was it Rhino? He would do, it was like the spear, but it was, more violent.
Rhino was called the Gore.
No, not called the Gore. The Edge did the spear.
Edge did the spear, but Rhino's was called the Gore.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember any guy named Rhino.
It's this bigger guy with long black hair.
Yeah, maybe.
He did a spear. It was called the Gore.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then.
You could look it up, but
yeah, but like Rob Van Dam was super athletic. He was fun to watch. I liked the Great Khali when he was still, the Undertaker. I mean, I liked Cena, but I didn't like him as much because I felt like that's who they wanted you to like. You know what I mean? I liked him.
I guess so. I guess you're right.
I liked Edge for the most part, mainly because his theme song was a song of a band I really like. Or I don't know if it's in the same anymore, but I really liked when it was still going. And yeah, man, that's Kurt Angle was cool.
That's cool good. Guys. I'm glad you had your heyday too.
Yeah, I had my day. I had my day in
That's
the sun.
Good. That's good. So anyways, going on to the show today, we have great things planned for you as always. So we're going to be leading off the show here talking about Al Jazeera and the Al Jazeera performance-enhancing drug report coming out. The NFL just recently said they would suspend 4 players if they did not speak before an August 25th deadline. Going to be talking UFC 202, headlined by the rematch between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor on Saturday. Had a press conference yesterday, did UFC 202, and let's just say
to the least.
Very interesting, really really interesting. Let's just go with that. We'll obviously get into the details, and then we're going to close out the show with our ever so popular What's Trending. I have people trending things with LeBron James, DeAndre Jordan, as well as Seahawks defensive lineman Michael Bennett.
And I have some things revolving around the Mets, the Cubs, and we'll go from there and see if there's anything else I want to tell you guys.
Perfect. So let's start with the show, Alex.
Let's
go
start.
in and jump into our first segment. With reports are that the NFL is going to be suspending 4 players reportedly involved in the Al Jazeera document released last year. Those players are Pittsburgh Steelers, James Harrison. Then we have a couple of Green Bay Packers linebackers. We have Julius Peppers and Clay Matthews, as well as Mike Neal, who is a former member of the Green Bay Packers, who is a free agent
currently
now.
a free agent. Yeah, they have until the beginning. They'll be suspended beginning August 26th if they don't come. The deadline is the 25th, like Ben said, to at least have some kind of conversation. James Harrison said when this all came out the first time, he said, "Yeah, come to my house. I'll talk to you guys, but I'm not doing it otherwise." And it since has turned around and not really going to work that way.
Went back on what he said.
Well, he didn't necessarily go back on what he said. He still said that the offer stands. Come to my house and I'd be happy to talk with you. But I don't know, if he's going to risk the suspension just for not, leaving the house to go do it there. Former Steelers player Steve McClendon, who was a D tackle with the Steelers, obviously, for most of his career until now. He's his first year away from the team after free agency. He went to the Jets. He's playing on the D-line with them. He's a big help for them now. They have a lot of those suspensions and injuries on their side. But many people with the Steelers, including Steve McClendon, are very familiar with how James Harrison works out. If you're a fan of his or if you follow him on Instagram, he routinely wakes up at 3 in the morning during the offseason just to work out, 5 in the morning, just because he likes it. And Steve McClendon says, "Hey, man, I've known James Harrison a long time. He's all natural." James Harrison's a freak in nature. He's not very tall, but he is ginormous when it comes to size of his body. And Steve McClendon said, "Yeah, man, he's all hard work. He's all natural." I mean, I've seen how the dude works out the best you can. Obviously, like I said, if you follow him on Instagram, the guy is insane. What he lifts, when he works out, how he works out. And this is the same report that tied Peyton Manning to any of this kind of use, injecting what's called Delta 2, and that was proved to be not true as well.
So he was cleared by the NFL.
Yeah, it's remained to be seen. There's a documentary that accused, like we said, the players, Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, Mike Neal, Peyton Manning, and Harrison, including other athletes in other sports.
Yeah, some of those other athletes are Ryan Zimmerman, and Ryan Howard of baseball. They have sued Al Jazeera for libel about the documentary.
Yeah.
So they are definitely taking steps to sort of go after Al Jazeera. Here's my take in the whole thing. What kind of scares me is being a Packer fan as well. You have 3 Packers. Well, I'll include Neal, even though he's a free agent now, but he was a former Packer. So I'll say you had 3 Packers. You have Peppers, Matthews, and Neal, all sort of included in this. So I can see that there's definitely maybe some truth to the matter. They're all sort of in the same team. Maybe they're sharing it around. Maybe they're passing it around. So, okay, there's that. Here's my thing. If you have nothing to hide, why would you have not talked already? Kind of like Peyton Manning did.
I think it's the whole thing like they feel like there's no reason they should have to go talk to them.
I get
like
that.
They feel like they've been falsely accused.
I get that, and I get that they are sort of saying, is it very fair for the NFL to do this? And they're trying to let the Players Association kind of handle some things. But my thought process is if you have nothing to hide and you know that you're going to be suspended, a week from now, 8 days from now, if you literally say nothing, why not just have this resolved already? Why not just step up, say, okay, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, this is what happened, this is not what happened, and just get it over with? Because I'm going to take this for the Green Bay Packers. Say they say nothing. The Packers don't have Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers. There goes your entire pass rush. If you're a Packers fan.
Clay plays middle linebacker now.
Well, he's going to be shifted back. Reports are he's going to be shifted back over to the outside.
It's about time.
We'll have to see. They did draft Blake Martinez out of Stanford in the 3rd or 4th round to maybe fill that inside linebacker role. We'll have to see how that goes. But reports are he's going to be shifted back out to the outside. So you still have people like Nick Perry, who's really sort of been a disappointment. Dayton Jones as well from UCLA, first-round picks that have not really panned out. So you have Matthews and Peppers. Without them, I'd say you can really throw away the whole entire pass rush, and you might as well not even try at that. So this is really, really important, especially for a team like the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have nothing to hide, step up to the plate, come out, say what you have to say, and get it over with. You know, they're obviously, the NFL is obviously taking this very, very serious. They're not playing around here.
I think that we're going to see that be the case. You know, I think they are going to show up. What it shows to me is all these players, the NFL players, have a common thread, in my opinion. You have Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, James Harrison, and Peyton Manning, right? Julius Peppers and all three of the latter players are in the twilight of their career in that sense, right? Peyton just retired. Julius Peppers will probably retire the next 2 years or so. James Harrison turned 38 in May, right? But they're all still playing at a very high level. And then you have Clay Matthews and James Harrison, who have always just been physical monsters, going back to college for Clay Matthews, right? And so, you know, Clay's been, you know, he's a huge guy. James is a huge guy. And, you know, you can look at that as a common thread, other than the whole, you know, the idea with, and Mike Neal's a big guy too, and he's near the end of his career as well. He played at a pretty high level. You can look at it in that sense. You know, you have guys that are, you know, playing at a high level for maybe an age that they shouldn't be. So that could be a, you know, natural target. You know what I mean? But, you know, going back to USC, Clay has always been a guy that's been in the gym. You know, like I said with Harrison, McClendon said, I don't know where this is coming from. I know firsthand he's all work, sun up, sun down. He's the first one in. He's the last one to leave. He said, I looked up to him my entire time in Pittsburgh. Used to get up early just to watch him work out. And then, there's no hiding the fact that Peppers is a physical monster as well.
Right,
you know?
and it's not like these guys pulled like a Tony Mandridge deal where they came out of nowhere and then became just studs. They were, Clay Matthews made an immediate impact as soon as he was drafted by the Packers. Julius Peppers, when he was drafted by the Panthers and going over to the Bears, a great player.
And then he was
James Harrison, former Defensive Player of the Year. So it's not like they just came out of nowhere and became studs all of a sudden. So I'm not necessarily accusing them.
No, I know.
But what I'm saying is, if you have nothing to hide, just step up to the plate and do it. You're only gonna hurt your team by staying quiet. In my opinion, really telling me that there's some sort of truth to this.
Yeah, I think what it really is more so, I don't believe it for a second. I think, especially with Harrison having been, I mean, that's not just Steelers bias. I've seen, like I said, firsthand, like videos of how, and reports like McClendon here of how he works out. I can't speak to the same knowledge as Clay and Julius, but I know that, going back to USC, Clay was always a guy that was working out all the time, just like his dad. And so I don't think it's necessarily a level of truth to it. I think that it's been this whole time. There was no reason for them to say anything because they, as far as they're concerned, this is just slander. It's false accusations. And until now, and this has only been about not even a full week that the NFL said they're going to suspend these players if they don't come talk to them, then I think we're going to see this having occurred. They're not going to, if they have nothing to hide, obviously they're going to go talk to him because it's only going to hurt their team. James, as hard-headed as he has always seemed with the media, he's never liked the NFL in that sense. He doesn't really like Roger Goodell. I feel like he's going to go talk to him because it's just going to harm the team if he doesn't. Same thing with Clay, same thing with Julius, and Mike Neal has no reason not to. I mean, he's a free agent, so that's my opinion. I guess Mike Neal has no reason to or no reason not to at the same sense.
I definitely think they'll sort of come to some sort of realization, but I don't think it should have taken this amount of time for the NFL to kind of put the hammer down and say, okay, you're going to talk to us now or else. It should have been resolved by now.
Yeah, but at the same time, I said, I'm not surprised at all it's taken Harrison this long because Harrison hates this stuff. He said, if you want to talk to me about it, he said when it first came out, then come talk to me. But I'm not going to go out of my way to talk to you about some lie or, So I completely understand his point of view. And if that's the same thing with, Clay and Julius and Mike Neal, then that's fine, in my opinion. I think, like I said, it'll be resolved. They'll talk about it. And if it's not, then maybe you're right. Maybe there's something more to be said about it. But I think, in my opinion, I don't think any of it's true. I've never really been much to believe Al Jazeera's stories in the first place.
And they obviously cleared Peyton Manning, so if he had no sort
that
of...
was ridiculous in my opinion.
So if he had nothing doing wrong there, obviously the others, it looks good for them as well. But just to come to the plate and talk about it. So with that being said, we're going to take our first commercial break here. The Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. Going to be kicking it off and punching our way into UFC 202 right after the break. We'll be right back, guys.
Oh, man. All right.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be, visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, and we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We're going to talk about UFC 202. I was going to say 2022. 202. So, Ben,
That's a lot of UFC pay-per-views there.
Let's go ahead and submit our analysis of this
Classic
UFC event. Thanks.
Classic.
You had some puns, so I figured I'd give you some puns. Obviously, the headline fight is going to be the welterweight fight between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, a.k.a. the notorious Conor McGregor. You have Johnson and Teixeira. You have Story and Cerrone. Lynn and Perry, and Means and Hopnasi. Is that how you say his name? I always forget how you say his name. And then obviously the prelims.
Homasi,
thank you. You have the prelims throughout the night as well. So obviously the matchup that everybody's talking about is the rematch between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. And it wasn't only something that's going to go on in the octagon as well. It's a little bit of a hectic press conference yesterday as well, Ben. Am I correct?
You are very, very correct. So I played you the video earlier.
It's pretty funny.
Definitely not going to get into details because there's definitely a lot of inappropriate language being sort of spoken. But anyway, so McGregor showed up a half hour late to this press conference. You know, Diaz was already there answering questions. McGregor shows up late, and then as McGregor shows up, Diaz decides, you know what, I'm leaving. You know, this is kind of, you're obviously just showing up late. You don't really care. So I'm going to leave, and then they shared some heavy words after, as he was leaving, was Diaz, some definitely inappropriate gestures, and then they led to start throwing, well, I should say McGregor led to start throwing bottles and cans towards Diaz and his camp.
Yeah.
So definitely...
Conor, no.
Yeah, Dana White's trying to tell Conor McGregor not to, and then he obviously didn't listen to him. So, and then... You know, Dana White steps up to the mic and goes, okay, the press conference is over. We'll see you Saturday. You know, just like right on that. So the one thing I'm going to be looking forward to is the weigh-ins on Friday. You know, that definitely when you weigh and then you sort of have that like photo op where you sort of put your fists up and look at each other. Who knows if we'll see any sparks fly at that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen sparks fly at weigh-ins before. We've seen headbutts and attacks and... You know, we've seen sparks fly at interviews with Cormier and Bones Jones. You know, earlier this year, was that last year? It was pretty intense. You know what I mean? So, I am interested to see how this goes down. Honestly, I'm very interested because this is going to be a big fight. You know what I mean? He didn't have any kind of prepared time for Diaz last time, and Diaz, in the same sense, didn't have any time for him, and he was the champion.
Yeah, I think Diaz took on the fight 11 days before it was scheduled to.
So they're both at a disadvantage, but at the same time, you're the champ, and you know it's something that clearly McGregor that didn't sit well with McGregor. So I'm pretty sure he's out for a little bit of revenge. And you and I have said before, I've never been the biggest fan of either of these guys, but it's going to be a good fight, I think.
Yeah, I think they definitely...
Anything less will be a disappointment, I think.
I think they're definitely both very outspoken. McGregor definitely gets most of the headlines. He says a lot of stuff about really anyone. He's talked a lot about WWE recently.
Weirdly,
had some words for, Portuguese star and Real Madrid star Cristiano Ronaldo.
A lot of words I just don't understand the point of.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's really, I'd say more so than anyone in mixed martial arts, sort of that shock jock sort of fighter. Mm-hmm. Really has a lot of those, those headlines and stuff. Yeah. So as far as the fight goes, it's like you said, it's a rematch. Diaz won with a second round submission the first fight. So for me, the thing that I sort of look at like the tail of the tape here is McGregor is stepping up in weight. Mm-hmm. So McGregor normally fights at about, they're fighting at 170 here. He usually fights a lot lower than that.
Like 155, I think.
So he's going up in weight to match Diaz, who is fighting at 170 in that welterweight class where he usually fights. Mm-hmm. So you have more of an advantage there in my eyes for Diaz as opposed to McGregor. He's also going to have a reach advantage. He's 3 inches taller than him, so he's got that advantage. Maybe he can sort of lean back, stay back, and kind of jab at him. Who knows? McGregor is definitely a better pound-for-pound fighter.
Yeah.
But Diaz has those advantages stepping up in class. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, during their last fight, in my opinion, Conor really had the upper hand through most of the fight. He just got caught in that submission later in the match.
He bloodied up Diaz in the first round. He really hit him around pretty good.
Yeah, if it got to submission, I would have probably no doubt he would have ended up winning. But Diaz did what you need to do, and he really got in there and caught him, when he wasn't ready for it and submitted him. So. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this fight goes. A lot of build-up. Conor obviously is very upset. It's not a title fight, but you better believe if Diaz wins again, they're going to set up a title fight.
It's different because McGregor's the champ at the lower weight class, and
if Diaz can go down, you know what I'm saying? If he has that possibility,
I don't think so. He's too big for that. I think.
I mean, he's a big guy. You know what I mean? But Conor, if he loses again, it remains to be seen how that's going to go for him.
Yeah,
he's not very happy right now.
Dana White already said that after this fight, win or lose, no matter who wins or loses, that McGregor is not going to be fighting in the 170 class and not fighting Diaz. Yeah. That he is going to have to defend his belt, or else he's going to have it stripped of him.
Yeah, he's refusing to.
And it looks like he's going to be going up against Jose Aldo, who he took the belt from last year. And rematch. Jose Aldo had a win over Frankie Edgar at UFC 200.
Yeah, he's on a good tear right now.
So it looks like that's going to be the rematch. That's going to be McGregor's next fight. McGregor did say in the press conference yesterday that no matter what, he would like to have a third fight with Diaz. Obviously, if McGregor wins, you're going to have a 1-1 series. You're going to have that rubber match, the third fight, number 3 fight. So that's probably not going to be McGregor's next fight because it looks like he'll be fighting Jose Aldo. Mm-hmm. But he's definitely looking forward to at least fighting Diaz again, win or lose. So
that's dangerous. He's already looking past this fight. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be.
But that's McGregor, man. Though.
That's just how he does stuff.
Yeah, and then you mentioned we have some other great fights. So we have Anthony Rumble Johnson and Glover Teixeira in that light heavyweight class. Since Anthony Johnson has moved up into lightweight, formerly at a middleweight, he's really dominated. He's felt a lot more comfortable at 205. This is, in my opinion, really a number 1 contender match for the championship.
Yeah, it's the
right
1
now.
2.
Yeah, right now it is John Jones and Cormier who kind of need to settle that unification as a belt. But then we had the suspension at UFC 200.
Apparently, some news came out about that.
Yeah,
at least some stuff that Bones said. He said that they had some great news regarding it, and stay tuned.
So it looks like the winner of this fight between Teixeira and Johnson kind of has to wait on how the whole situation goes with Cormier and with John Bones Jones. So and then Cowboy Donald Cerrone against Rick Story. So another great fight there in the 170 welterweight class.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it. And obviously we have our GSMC. You know what it is, MMA podcast.
Yeah, with Tate, he's obviously going to be breaking down this preview and as well as a review after the fight.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we're going to take our last break here, and the commercial is going to be very familiar to something that we were just talking about. So we're going to take that break, come back, and we're going to end the show with what is trending. Oh, I'm so excited. So don't go anywhere, guys, here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast as we hit you with our MMA podcast commercial. And like I said, that will be done leading up, I'm sure it already has, leading up to 202. And afterwards with the updates and recaps of 202, you can tune into that. It's a great show. So we're going to end the episode, of course, with our amazingly world-famous, award-winning What's Trending. I made an award for it yesterday. So we're going to do What's Trending. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll do starting off.
I think I started
today.
Last episode, so you go ahead.
So DeAndre Jordan, obviously member of the United States men's basketball team over in Rio.
Yeah, I know that
He
guy.
says that winning Olympic gold medals are above NBA championships. So he was doing an interview with Mark Stein and Mark Schwartz of ESPN, and he said, quote unquote, I think they're above NBA rings. I may get in trouble for saying that, but I believe that. I feel like this is more special. You're not just playing teams in the United States. You're playing teams from all over the world. And this is even more special because there's an NBA champion crowned every year. But this is every 4 years. You've got to really think about that, man, because it's extremely special.
I get where he's coming from.
Thoughts?
It makes sense. I get where he's coming from. I would be interested to have him ask some players on his team that have won, like Clay, for example, that have won NBA championships, and maybe if this is his first year in the Olympic team. If he wins the gold this year, and have him compare. I'd be interested to see if that's the case for some players. I definitely get where he's coming from, and of course it's his opinion. But I'd be interested to have him ask somebody who's done both and see what they say.
I agree, because DeAndre Jordan has not won an NBA championship. He hasn't even won an Olympic gold medal yet. So, I mean, obviously they are the favorites. They should win the gold medal. We'll have to wait and see.
Knock on wood.
But anyway, so I feel like you can't really say it's above an NBA championship if you haven't won them both. So exactly, like you said, go ask LeBron James. Go ask Kobe Bryant. Go ask Michael Jordan what is more important to them. To me, I'd say it's the NBA championship. For me, the Olympics, I can see where he's coming from. It's every 4 years. You're playing for your country. You're patriotic, etc. But you're on a team that you're supposed to win on. You're not really doing anything special in my eyes. Number two, this is kind of an amateur event, not really for your professional event. I could see if you're an Olympic swimmer, winning the gold medal is like winning the Super Bowl. Winning the gold medal Olympics is like winning the Super Bowl.
Gymnastics, swimming, track, and field.
Right. So like this is really like the headline of their career.
Mm-hmm.
For an NBA player, it's really winning a championship, winning a ring. I still would value that higher because it's more of a team accomplishment in this sort of instance, because the United States aren't really having to do as much as maybe another country would to win the gold medal in basketball.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of differ with DeAndre, but I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, I get where he's coming from. Well, speaking of LeBron James, my first bit of trending news revolves around LeBron James, and he apparently has not ruled out the 2020 Olympics. He says, every time watching them, wish I was out there. I did not retire from Team USA. Took a year off. It's a long year. He finally won a championship with his hometown team. He played a long year. He played a tough year. Arguably the, MVP in a lot of people's eyes, other than Steph, if he did not have that rough postseason. But yeah, LeBron James not ruling out another run at the Olympic gold. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't really surprise me. I would have thought LeBron would have played this year, but obviously, after, like you said, he had that long run, Game 7, NBA Finals. He's really tired, really exhausted, kind of a relief off his shoulders winning a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he obviously wanted the rest, needed the rest. He's not a young guy anymore. It's kind of weird to say this, but LeBron's, in his 30s finally, although it'd be early 30s. I would not be surprised to see him give it, one last run in 4 years. Maybe if he's coming off a summer where he's not, not in the playoffs as long, not as playing many games. So not really surprised to see it, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Okay. He's already so accomplished. What's one more gold medal to LeBron James?
One more gold medal, I would say.
He
likes to do it. He's a competitor. He likes the
I get that, but
competition.
I don't see it happening.
Okay.
Anyways, moving on to what's trending. Obviously, Alex, the Bennett brothers of the NFL, Martellus Bennett now of the Patriots and Michael Bennett of the Seahawks. Really outspoken, really speak their mind. They did an interview about a month ago talking a lot, said a lot of things about Jay Cutler, Roger Goodell, the NFL as a whole. But now Michael Bennett, he's taken more outrageous, outspoken comments to
he's had quite the offseason when it comes to weird things to say.
So Michael Bennett, in an interview with Sirius XM Radio, he said they were asking him about Donald Trump running for office, and he goes, if Donald Trump can run for president, then so can I. I don't see why I can't, be a president any more than Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have the same amount of experience, if that's what he's saying.
In politics, right.
If that's what he's currently saying.
Going to be interesting in 2020. We might not just have Michael Bennett running for president, but also Kanye West. So,
oh man, maybe they'll team up.
Maybe Michael Bennett can be Kanye West's vice president.
Oh,
like they'll be running together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just Michael Bennett definitely not shy when it comes to speaking his mind. So really, both the Bennett brothers. But
oh yeah,
I found that kind of interesting. It's like, I guess I can see where he's coming from. Like you mentioned, the no political experience, but Michael Bennett, you cannot seriously run for president, dude. Come on. Let's be real here.
Let's be real here, man. I agree with you. Okay, my second to last. moving to the baseball world. And do you remember, it came out last year that the Cubs would do kind of wacky things at the end of road trips, dress-wise, you know?
Yeah, and they do. Joe Madden kind of likes to have fun with them. They they haze their rookies a lot. They give them like little kitty girly backpacks to wear on the road and stuff. So
yeah, they like to have fun. Well, the Cubs wore onesies home from Los Angeles, and they will wear them again next Sunday at the end of the road trip. They did the same thing last year, if you remember, after Jake Arrieta's no-hitter, and they took a picture in all of them afterwards. And some guys had some like superhero-looking ones, and some Batman ones, and some of those like tuxedo onesies and stuff.
Would you go with Batman?
Oh, I would. I have a Batman onesie, actually.
I have a Ninja Turtles onesie, and it has a cape. Like, I'm not really sure why, because Ninja Turtles doesn't have capes, but...
Yeah, no.
I mean,
the Batman onesie I have has a yellow cape. I'm like, Batman's never had a yellow cape, believe me.
It's gotta be black, like, you know what I mean? At least maybe blue.
Yeah,
not yellow.
No. I mean, yeah, blue and black.
Not yellow.
Very, very, very dark gray.
But they're continuing their trend of having fun on the road.
Yeah,
so.
I have two. I would have two onesies to choose from. I have my Batman onesie, and I have a shark onesie that has.
Does it zip up all the way with like a little fin on the back?
No, it has a hood. It has a fin on the back, and then the feet are like little shark mouths. So I have teeth on the end on the toes of the feet. You know?
Watch out! Don't get too close.
Yeah, don't let them snap you. I know. I got.
You might take a chunk out of your leg if you're not careful.
Yeah, but they are redoing it, so we'll see. Maybe they'll get another no-hitter out of it.
Who knows? The Cubs like to have fun. It's not really surprising. I think that's some of their success because they're so relaxed and not really uptight, kind of letting them have fun in a way. I think that definitely helps team morale and everything. So I'm not surprised there. So moving on here, I'm going to talk about my last bit of trending. Alex, you remember when Tim Tebow was drafted by the Broncos? Yes, we're talking about Tim Tebow again.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Do you remember his little rookie hazing haircut he had?
The Friar Tuck.
Little Friar John, halo haircut.
Yeah.
Well, the Broncos are back at it again. So they welcome their rookies to the NFL with quite a few wild haircuts. There's a lot of them here. They really showed them off at a team bowling organization, an event.
Mm-hmm.
So they did, some quite not really fun things to some of these guys. So we have the Tebow-esque, Friar John haircut again. And we had one guy who had quite a bit of a longer hair.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up shaving his head with the exception of an animal in the back, which is a rat, and having a little tail at the end. So he literally has a rat on his head. We have one guy with a beard, so they shaved him, all the way up to the line of his beard. So he has basically a full head beard, and then like a little, I don't know how to explain it, but I think of like Ronaldo from Brazil, the Brazilian soccer legend Ronaldo. I think that little, patch in the front of his head. So he has that kind of coming down, kind of like bangs.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, they really just terrorized these guys. They shaved a 71 into one guy's head. That's his number. They didn't really do too many nice things. But I guess as just a rookie hazing thing, I guess it's not too bad. They could have done a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's pretty funny. Like if you look at these, they're pretty hilarious.
I have to take a look at some more of them. Okay, well, staying in football and with the Broncos, as a matter of fact, we talked about on our last episode previewing the NFL week season. Oh, man, I'm just
preseason.
NFL preseason
there
week 2 games, and the Broncos are being playing the Niners, I believe. Yes. And they we talked about, is it really fair if Simeon doesn't get a real chance to start in this quarterback competition? Well, Trevor Siemian is starting on Saturday against the Niners. Coach Gary Kubiak said he was asked if he would like to make a decision on the quarterback for the season after this game. He said, would I like to? Yes. Will I? I don't know. So, like I said, strong showing of all three quarterbacks last week. Sanchez didn't really do anything to lose the job. Simeon did good things to warrant attention to the job, and Paxton showed good things for the future. Now we have Trevor Siemian starting, and likely, obviously, Sanchez coming in second there. We're going to see if Simeon can really separate himself there with the starters. So, with thoughts, you were one that really mentioned that you would like to see Simeon start.
Yeah, John Elway said that they're definitely not going to jump to name a starting quarterback. They're not going to race to it. They're going to take their time. So if they're going to take their time, they might as well give Simeon a fair shot at it, just like they did Sanchez in week 1. Yeah. They might as well give him a start in week 2, give him a fair chance. And then really I'd say by week 3 is when you play a lot of your starters, at least a quarter, maybe a half. So you can maybe go into that game with a good idea of who you want to start and then really go from there as how they perform in that game. So I think it's very, very likely that Simeon will start, and I'd say that he probably deserves to if they're going to give him a fair shot at a true quarterback competition, which is what it seems like is going to happen in Denver.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's good. I want to see how he plays with the first team. I'm looking forward to that game even more now on Saturday.
Yeah, I know you're looking forward to it because you are a big NFL guy. So
you know me, Ben.
I do.
Ding.
I do. I've known you for quite some time. So
that's my glisten, my little bing. Yes, quite some time. Too long.
It's never too long.
Not long enough. All right, well, we got to get out of here. Ben's got to record a baseball show today. But on that note, Ben,
2 of them.
2 of them. Oh, my God. Would you like to, tell them all the wonderful things about us and where they can find us and where they can do all those wonderful things?
Yes, I enjoy long walks on the beach. I know Alex does as well. Just kidding. But anyway, so you can find the GSMC Sports Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at GSMC_sports. You can listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You can find us on our GSMC, our website, gsmcpodcast.com. Click on our portfolio of podcasts. Make sure you click on the sports one. You can find all our episodes on there. There's also a coming soon tab, so you can find all the great podcasts coming soon, hopefully at the end of this year, early next year. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, really every single way possible.
I like it. And as always, I'm Alex.
I'm Ben.
And we will see you guys next week. You have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy football. Enjoy football. Enjoy baseball. The rest of these Olympics. And we will see you next week.
And wrestling.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget wrestling and MMA.
There you go.
Enjoy the sports world, people.
That's right. That is why you're here after all.
That is why you're here after all. All right. We will see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.